Maddie, also known as Hello Interloper here. Today I'm going to be talking about the secret dungeon that opened this weekend, the 3-star water monster Lizardman dungeon. Now, Water Lizardman, also known as Kernodon when he's awakened, isn't really that amazing. He can be good for early levels, like, maybe up to level 20, but he really isn't worth a 6-star, so he's really not good in the long run. He's mostly used as food for either evolving other monsters or for skilling up light and dark lizardmen. But anyway, I am going to go over his abilities. So let me quickly open him. He is a 3-star water monster, and here he is. And let's look at his awakened version, Kernodon. So although he looks pretty fierce, he really isn't that fierce. His basic attack is Poisonous Teeth, which attacks the enemy 2 times and weakens the enemy's defense, and inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns with a 15% chance with each attack. The attack power increases according to the defense. This is a pretty good defense break for early on, and the fact that it does attack the enemy 2 times means it can be good for early Necro, but honestly, farming Necro at all at an early level really isn't that recommended. Also, the continuous damage chance is pretty low, 15% with each attack, which means 15% and 15%, which is just really not that spectacular. And the fact that he is a defense monster means that he is tanky, but he does not have any provoking abilities, meaning that his defensive stats really aren't being put to proper use. I mean, if he did have a provoke ability, he'd be able to take damage and kind of keep it off the rest of the team. He doesn't have any provokes, so, he's just a very survivable defense break monster. But of course, there are a lot of other defense break monsters. There's, Belludion, Light Inagami, there's Roke, Fire Inagami. There's a lot of defense break monsters that are a lot better than Kernodon. His second ability is Poisonous Whirlwind, which attacks all enemies dealing damage proportionate to your defense and inflicts continuous damage for 3 turns with a 50% chance. The damage of the skill will increase by 30% for each harmful effect on the enemy. In early game, you're probably not going to be putting a lot of debuffs on your enemies to begin with, so the 30% increase for each harmful effect isn't really going to come into play too much. I mean, you're not really going to have a really big continuous damage dealing monster like, let's say, Beretta or anything this early, so you won't really be able to use this to your advantage very well. But the continuous damage, 3 turns with a 50% chance is pretty nice, making it okay for early game. There are certain dungeons, such as the Light Dungeon and the Water Dungeon, which really depend on continuous damage to finish quickly, just because they either have really high HP or really high defense, and continuous damage is a percentage-based damage. In other words, 1 stack is 5% taken away from the HP. So, you could take down a light or water dungeon boss pretty quickly with continuous damage, so he can be kind of useful early on. Then the third one, it just decreases the inflicted damage from opponents of wind attribute by 50%, which is kind of silly because, okay, so he is a water monster. He's not going to be dealing really good damage against wind monsters to begin with. Why would you really use him against wind monsters? So he's kind of meh. But I mean, if you are very early game and you need a quick monster to do some defense break, you don't have Roke or Belludion yet, and you don't have that consistent defense break, you might just want to get one. Why not? So, also when you awaken him, if I show you there, it increases accuracy by 25%, which makes that defense break a lot more accurate. So, yeah, basically, if you're at least mid-game, like level 20 or plus, he's really not worth adding to your team. You probably have a Nat 4 by that time, and you have something a lot better to work on than Kernodon. So, now I'm going to show you basically a quick run-through of the secret dungeon. This is my current team for taking it down. It's a little slow, but I I don't really have any wind nukes that do AoE damage, so I just do what I can. Briand is pretty much my only wind AoE attack mon I have. I would love to have, I don't even know how to say his name, the Wind Ifrit, Akamir, or whatever the hell his name is, because he's really good for taking down secret dungeons like these, just because he has 2 AoE attacks, and that's pretty nice, of course. So, alright, we're taking this down pretty easy. The early levels are pretty easy to take down. I also just want to point out, all my guys are 6 stars, so this is going to be pretty quick. You guys might not all have 6 stars at this point, so just generally, if you do have all 6 stars, you don't really have to use a healer for this, because you're going to be going through this pretty quickly. You won't really be taking much damage at all, so you don't really need a healer with you. But definitely take a healer with you if you are a lower level and are having a little bit of trouble. And keep in mind that if you do get to stage 10 and are able to beat the final boss, you do get 4 pieces, which really isn't that much. That means you have to do this at least, 10 times if, you don't do the entire stages accurately 100% of the time. So, yeah, we're almost done. We're on stage 8 now. Just getting these down slowly. Yeah, as you can see, now that some of these are actually Kurndons, they're taking a little bit less damage, especially from Briand, because they're, what is it called? Passive. Actually, you know what? In this case, a wind nuke wouldn't be a good idea, because he does have that passive. But it is good for not taking damage to have wind monsters here. So, pretty much just going through here. At this point, the main boss does have a lot of increased accuracy, so he's going to probably break my defense, or not. He's actually not really doing that great a job of breaking defense or adding continuous damage. There we go. Okay, so stage 10 clear. That was a little slower than my usual time. My best is 1:48. But pretty much I just keep replaying this while I'm doing something else. Play 2 games at a time, play some on the computer, and play this. Just keep pressing replay, gathering the pieces. So I'm going to be using these as evolution fodder, and then later pop a 12-hour EXP boost and just raise a lot of fodder. Gotta make some more 6 stars. Always making 6 stars. So anyway, that's, well, the secret dungeon for you. Whether you participate or not, good luck. And if not, have a good time playing the 60 million download event. Make sure that you participate, because it's got some really nice prizes. Check out my other video if you need a little more detail. Anyway, until next time, good luck.